Hey, what is going on, guys, and welcome back to TCG Madness, a channel that is all TCG all the time. And in today's video, I am bringing you guys something very special. Today, we are going to be taking a look at a gameplay of a new card game dropping this summer called Alter TCG. Now, before we go any forward, this is just a recording, and I'll be doing the voiceover, giving you guys the play-by-play. First of all, if you like this type of content and you want to see more, please hit the like button or comment down below. Also, if at any point you're saying to yourself, hey, this was like an excellent card game, I really want to get into this, I will leave a link down below. Their Kickstarter is currently live and they've already raised $1.7 million. So this is a card game that is going to be messed with, that is going to be making some headwinds in the TCG community. So if at any point you like this, check out the description box below. Check out their Kickstarter page. It's not expensive, not breaking the bank. You can easily get into this. And if you want a full ultimate guide on how to play this card game, I will also leave a link down below to a channel called Main Deck on YouTube. He does a phenomenal job breaking this game down and he simplifies it and how you can easily understand in any language the anatomy of the card, how to play, how to win, all that kind of stuff. I am just going to be showing you some gameplay. If you want my version of on how to play this game, I will do my best in this video as if we're doing a play-by-play, but it's a pretty simple game to understand. It's not difficult. It's easy to understand, hard to master. It's an excellent game. If at any point you guys are interested, check out their Kickstarter. Hope you guys enjoy this video. Alright, you guys, we are now here at Alter TCG, which you can find on Board Game Arena. So I forgot to mention that too. If you want to actually play this game, go check out boardgamearena.com, type in Alter TCG after making an account with them, and you too can play this game absolutely free. You have until February 5th, and they're closing down the beta, which hopefully they leave it open until the game gets released. And again, if you guys want to learn how to play this game, highly recommend you check out a YouTube channel called Main Deck. He does a masterful job at teaching you how to play this game. He does it in a way that only he can do. He does it fantastic. He does interactions, showing you guys little nuances. First he gets into the easy understand, and then he gets into the little more detailed and nuances of the game. He does it in a way that I can never do. So again, I highly recommend you guys go check out his YouTube channel, Main Deck. Again, there will be links down below in the description box for all of this. So the deck I'm playing is Yuna, which is a green deck. It pretty much puts a +1/+1. It also has a lot of cards that ultimately give the creatures anchored, and anchored is ability that you will see get used throughout this game. Anchored means that when you play a card, the card does not actually go away at the end of the turn. And right on cue, this is the card I was talking about. This is a Spindle Harvester, and also the Sneezer Shroom. Both of them have anchored. So there it comes in anchored, and that won't go away at the end of the turn. It also gets a +1/+1 thanks to my hero. The goal of this game is to get, basically you see in the middle of the screen, the far left and the far right, the hero and the companion tokens. The objective of the game is to just get both of them to meet, and you'll see as the game progresses, they're going to start moving closer and closer to each other. You'll also see on the far right a lot of the earth, forest, and water. Basically, those are the zones. You have to just beat your opponent in those zones. If you beat your opponent in those zones, your character will progress forward and move across the plains. Think of it almost as contested realms. It's kind of like that, but just a little bit different, a little quicker pace too. So you see, he beat me on the hero side, but I lost on the companion side. So, and then there goes that anchored ability. Because I have anchored, his cards get removed, but because mine have anchored, they don't get removed. So now I am debating between playing a Kitsune, which will allow me to draw a card. I'm also looking at my Meditation Training, which is a 2/3. I can play it for 2, and then it goes into my reserve, and I can play it out for 3. I will do my best to explain a lot of these mechanics as the game goes on. I also have a Nurture. I think I play the Kitsune here, because I'm thinking that, oh, no, maybe the Nurture? Let's see. I played a bunch of these games last night until like 2 a.m., so I ended up putting the Nurture into my mana pool. And the deck I was playing against is a purple deck, which I think is the most OP deck out of the starter decks. They're all pretty balanced for the most part, but that purple one is really good. So I end up playing the Kitsune. I was right, and I think I play it on the left side. Yeah, this is the hero side. So we're going to drop that Kitsune right there, and I'm going to draw a card, and my opponent also is going to draw a card, so we both get that benefit. And because the Kitsune came in, it's the first card I played this turn, it's going to get a +1 across the board on all the zones thanks to my hero. So now my opponent is debating on what they want to play. They can play their cards out of their reserve. I believe he's got that little tutorial study guide over there. Yeah, that little guy, the 1/1. If he were to discard that from his reserves, the next card he played gets -1. So I don't think he plays it yet. And again, that card is very powerful. Basically, you tap it and then you force your opponent to go first. And the reason why that card is powerful is because every card in that purple deck basically removes cards. So you want to bait your opponent into doing something first, and then you get to basically decide if you want to remove it. And yes, he does discard it, so the next card is going to come out at a discost of 1, or a discount of 1. And he does play Off You Go, which is what I was talking about. So that Off You Go, instead of costing 2, is going to cost him 1. He's going to remove my Kitsune, and that card goes into his reserve. That card right there, Off You Go, I thoroughly believe is OP. I think it shouldn't cost 2, it should cost 3. It should be a 3/4, and it should either have Fleeting, or if it's not going to have Fleeting, it should be a 3/5. Because Off You Go is so inexpensive the first time you play it at 2. And you'll see, I have another game where I actually ended up using this purple deck, and I used that card relentlessly. I can't imagine what my opponent was feeling. He hasn't played any cards yet either on his side of the board, so pretty much he's got zeros across the board. You guys can see in all 3 of his zones, I at least have a 2/2/2, and he ends up playing the Lake Lady, I think is what it calls, or the Lady of the Lake. I end up passing, he ends up... I have nothing else to play, because once again he just absolutely discards my cards, and he ends up advancing on the hero side and the companion side. So now we're both kind of even. I have to discard, I have to go down to 2 cards in my reserve. That's another thing too. Your hero have 2 reserved and 2 landmarks. So if you exceed that limit, you actually have to go down to your hero and companions limit. So I discard out of my reserve the Spindle Harvest, and I pass my turn to him, and now he has the token that allows him to go first. The 2 of us are going to decide what cards we want to put in the mana. This game also too does not play by rounds. It's actually played by days and the parts of the day. So there's like morning, noon, and night. And morning, noon, afternoon, or evening, or something like that, and then nighttime. Most of the gameplay, is the bulk of it so far, is in the afternoon. That's pretty much where all of the game just kind of takes place. So I discard the Ceronius. I put him in my mana pool. And now he's going to go first. And ultimately, he's just actually going to force me to go first. And that's how that deck wants to play. It wants you to play stuff so that he just basically counters all your stuff. And I drop the big body druid here. I don't remember if I play it on the left or the right side. It's kind of interesting watching my gameplay all over again. So I do end up dropping it on the companion side, and because it's the first card I drop, it gets a +1 to all its stats. And now you can see that right side, the earth, forest, and water, we have 8, 8, and 6. That's going to be very difficult for him to counter, unless of course he can. Now see, what he could have done is he could have just played Off You Go for 4, and that would have pretty much limited his whole movement, and he could have gotten rid of the druid, but I don't think he does that. I'm not 100% sure. Let's see, my opponent is thinking. Yeah, see, that's what I was afraid of. I was afraid that he was going to play Off You Go, but if he did, at least I still had the Kitsune that I could have played for 2, and probably still given myself the advantage on both left and right side. There's another card that he also plays. I think it's Dorothy Gale, that's in that purple deck that also removes a lot of cards. There's a lot of removal, which is what green suffers from the most. It suffers from removal, and he plays Spycraft. This is going to be interesting. So you're going to see him force 1 card in my reserve to the discard pile, and then he's going to take the top card of his deck and put it into his reserve, and he gets a 2/1, and that reserve cost is actually a 1. So you see the 2 blue. The 2 blue means that it costs 2 out of your hand, and then the green is the reserved cost, which is what it costs to play out of your reserved. So he can play that card for 1 out of his reserved. I end up forcing the Kitsune because I want to make sure I have both sides left and right. So he has to play one of the others. I play the Kitsune on the left side for 2 out of my reserve cost. And that pretty much now, all my cards in my reserved are gone. When you play a card out of your reserved, the card gets fleeting. Fleeting means that card does not go back to your reserve. It goes immediately to your discard pile. So you can't just constantly play the same card out of your reserve. So if you have like an OP card, you're only going to get, you know, twice to play it really, unless it has fleeting. If it has fleeting, right, you know, it does not go to your reserved, it immediately goes to your discard. So he plays Baba Yaga and he draws himself a card. So as you can see, Baba Yaga beats me on the forest and we are tied with water. So he's going to advance 1 and I'm going to advance 1. So he advances on his hero side while I advance on my companion side. All my cards that didn't have anchored go to my reserved and we pretty much pass turns. But he has to, see, yeah, he has to discard. He has 3 cards in his reserve, so he has to pick one to send to his discard. He picks Baba Yaga, ends the day, and we begin a new day. Now, I'm pretty sure the Anaria is the one I chose here in this turn to dump to my mana. And again, you can only pick 1 card to drop in your mana per day. So you have to be very careful to not pick the wrong one, basically, because that can make or break a game. And yes, I do pick the Naria. So Naria goes to my mana. Now I have 6 mana to play with, and I get to go first. I do have a Sneasel Shroom and the Druid in my reserves. I have some big bodies in the reserved. And I also have the 4-drop Zeronis. And I do have a Nurture as well. I think the Zeronis is the one I picked to drop. Let's see. Or is it the daughter of... Nope, it is the... And there is chat in this game too, so you can chat with your opponents as well. Again, this is Board Game Arena. And again, if you guys like this, please do me a big favor. Hit that like button right now. If you're new, consider hitting that subscribe button. And again, I highly recommend you guys check out this card game, Altered TCG on Kickstarter. There will be links down below for all of this. So I did drop the Zeronis, and again, he gets that +1/+1. So we're going to have 5s across the board on the companion side. And we're just waiting for her opponent here. I'm still waiting for him to drop the Dorothy Gale, and there she is. So he is going to bounce the Zeronis right back to my hand, and just like that, I have to play the Sneasel Shroom on the left side to try to get some type of advantage, because he's going to advance on his companion side. So I'm thinking I might as well play something on my hero side to advance my hero side. He only has 1 mana left. I highly doubt he has a 1-drop. If he had a 1-drop, it would be bad news for me. And then I look up at my reserve, and he does have a 1-drop. So it was bad news for me, and I didn't even see that. But at least the Sneasel Shroom is there, and the Sneasel Shroom will stay anchored. It just sucks that he's going to advance on both sides. So at this point now, if he advances on both sides and they now meet in the middle, it is game over for me. So I basically have a lot of makeup to do here. I cannot allow him to advance on both sides. So we do drop a card into the mana pool to give ourselves 7 mana. So 7's a pretty good number to work with. I am afraid, of course, of that another Dorothy Gale in his hand. The one he currently has in reserve, if he plays it out of his reserve, it will not bounce anything. So I am happy about that. But if he had the rare Dorothy Gale, which, you know, anytime he plays it out of his hand or his reserved, it can bounce you can bounce a thing every time. So that was a Dorothy Gale I was really, really afraid of. So let's see what he ends up having. We have a Sneasel Shroom to the left. We end up dropping the Zeronis on the companion side because that's a beastie boy right there. And he does have fleeting, so I do want to get the advantage of having him out. I still have 4 mana to work with, so I have plenty of mana to kind of mess with. I'm sorry for shaking the screen so much. So now my opponent is thinking, and I'm pretty sure he's going to play that Dorothy Gale out of his reserve, which is, I was okay with that. A 3-drop Dorothy Gale. If he tried to drop it, that's fine. You guys can even see I tried to concede this game because I pretty much thought like this game's just over. I am so far behind the 8 ball here. I might as well just re-up into the next game. And this is a little lesson for you guys out there. Never concede a game because you never know what's going to happen. That's a little foreshadowing. So I have another anchored spindle harvester, and I'm debating on putting it on the left or the right side. I could beef up my companion side, but I ended up not doing that. I wanted to beef up the hero side, and I'm just trying to get both my tokens to just advance. I need both of them to advance while also stymieing my opponent. With that Dorothy Gale, the one thing she does very well is she bounces things, but she's not the strongest. Even for a 5-drop, she's really not that powerful. She's only a 3/2/2, and at least I'm beating my opponent on the companion side, so he has a choice to make. Does he play something on the hero side and try to at least get just one movement, or does he beef up the companion side? He ended up beefing up the companion side, which I was okay with, even though that's a very, very powerful creature right there, and it gives it +3 boost. I ended up dropping the big boy druid, the daughter, and you can see now we are at 10, 10, and 8. And with only 1 mana, he's really got nothing to mess with. I don't think he had the 1-drop, and he does not. So both of us pass, and I did exactly what I needed to do. I stymied my opponent while also advancing both tokens. So now we're at dead even once again. The problem with me is I don't have a lot of cards in hand or any cards in my reserve. So at this point, I'm pretty much just looking at my hand, basically saying, GG, good game. We have 2 Kitsunes. You know, yes, I can draw a card off of them, but so is my opponent. And also, too, you're basically saying to yourself, do you really want to discard any of these cards into your mana with only a limited pool? And I actually chose not to do that, and it ended up being the right move. So I played the first Kitsune on my companion side. Both my opponent and I draw a card off of that. And the Kitsune got a +1/+1 from my hero's ability. The first creature I play in the afternoon gets a +1/+1. I love that ability. It works very well with Anchored as well. And you can see my opponent, who is not first. So pretty much they can react to everything I'm doing because this is a removal deck. And they have a lot of cards in hand, so I was really sweating bullets. I'm thinking, listen, he's probably going to have a bunch of removal. If he does that, it's over. And he plays this card, which actually forces my companion to move back a spot. So not only did he play a very powerful and big creature for 7, he then forced my companion token to move back a spot. Which, again, wasn't the biggest deal, but I had to quickly play something, and I had to play it now. So my best course of action, I thought, was let's play another Kitsune. Let's draw some cards. Let's beef up my companion side, because he only has 1 mana, which he's going to play on the left side. We know that. So let's go ahead and beef up this companion side, which I think is what I did. I don't think I beefed up the hero side. Oh no, look at that. See, this is why it's so good to watch your own gameplay. So I ended up beefing up the hero side, drawing another card, and we did get another Inari. Again, I have probably played over 30 games now. I just played relentlessly for hours last night, just playing with the same deck over and over and over again. So we played the Kitsune on the left side, again drawing another card, and now we have some cards to mess with. We can play the Nurture and give all our creatures +1, or give 2 creatures, excuse me, +1. He ended up playing the companion side, and now I have a choice to make. Do I Nurture and try to advance, or do I play the Inari, or do I hold the Inari for next turn? Because at this point, you can definitely see, like, I'm beating him on the hero side, but on the companion side, he's got me beat. So I have choices to make. And I play the Inari on the companion side to try once again stymie my opponent and advance both my tokens. I think. I think that's what I'm doing. I'm looking at it. I'm probably doing the math in my head. Watching this now, I could see how many times I stopped to actually do the math in my head. Because that's basically what this game is all about. You can see too the zones. We're sitting currently on a green and brown zone, so you have to beat your opponent on both those zones. If you beat him on just one of the zones, you advance. If you beat him on both, you advance. If you guys tie across the board, none of you advance. And you guys will notice I'm beating him on the rock side on the left side, and I'm beating him on the companion side. So we both advance again. So even though he's removed all my cards, even though he has played cards that have moved my tokens back again, and I had to advance once more, I have now the game right where I want him. All I have to do is just outvalue him here on this next turn and just advance on one side. So if I advance either my hero one or my companion one, and both my hero and companion meet, I now win the game. So ultimately what I'm doing is I'm just trying to find the cards with the best value. I have the Inari and the Kitsune, and we actually ended up pulling some really good stuff. We have a Mana Druid, and we have a very powerful Nurture. Although the Nurture does cost 3, which is something I considered. And I'm saying to myself, if I drop another card into the mana pool, I'll have 8 mana. What can I do with 8 mana? Because my opponent has 9, so he's got me on the 1 mana. So do I get rid of the Meditation Trainer, or do I get rid of the Nurture? And I ended up picking the Nurture because I'm not going for anything with Anchored this turn. I'm just trying to win on one side of the field here. Either the hero side or the companion side. The only thing that sucks is that my opponent had the ability to just basically make me go first. So I was so afraid of playing anything because I was afraid that, you know, at some point they were going to use that off you go, because I noticed he held on to it for a very, very long time. I assumed that my opponent was going to use off you go here at the last turn, because this is basically do or die here for the two of us. And they ended up playing Spycraft first, which I thought was a great move. So they're going to get rid of the Inari, I would imagine. And they're going to then take the top card of their deck and place it in their reserved. And you can see my opponent is waiting and trying to see where they go. And yes, they do choose the Inari, and they get a cheap 1-drop into their reserve. So not looking good for me. So I got to sit here and debate. Well, let's go with the companion side. So we're going to play Kitsune, and it's going to get that +1 ability. So it's a 1/4/3. He then played, I couldn't believe this, he then played the big boy for 4/4/4 across the board. I thought that was a terrible move. I thought for sure they were going to play off you go, but they didn't. And then we drop a powerful Druid because now I'm not worried about off you go. So we played the Druid, and now I'm sitting there looking at the Nurture saying, okay, we're going to play the Nurture on the companion side. We're going to beef up all our characters, which is exactly what I do. We give them all 2 +1 abilities, and now you guys can see it's an 8, 10, 9, and there's not a lot that he can do about that, and it looks like we are on our way to a victory. With 3 mana left on his side, there's really not a whole lot he can do. I really thought he mismanaged his play. I really thought he should have played off you go, and instead they don't. They play Lady of the Lake, and you can see he's still not beating me, and even if he played a 1-drop, it doesn't matter, and that is going to be GG, good game, victory for your boy, and that's a lesson in why you never concede a game, because you never know what's going to happen. This game looked like it was so far out of reach for me, and then I pass, he passes, and you will see the companion advances, meets the hero, and that's victory for me. Hope you guys have enjoyed this game. Again, check out their Kickstarter page for Alter TCG. Want to learn how to play this game? Go check out Main Deck. All links down below in the description box. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed it. There will be more content like this coming soon.